It's not often that you hear of a ghost inhabiting a radio station, but accounts of this presence go back over decades. More recent accounts of the ghost at CKUA Radio in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, seem to start in 2009, when a summer intern reported a very strange phenomenon. She was working at the station and at the time based in an old building called Alberta Block, when her work experience became quite unnerving. The young woman was the only person at work in the dark, dank basement when she suddenly had a distinct feeling that she was not alone. Her job at that time was to catalogue records on a computer which was located in the back corner of the room. Understandably, by the end of the day, she was quite keen to leave both the basement and the building. She switched off the computer and stood up, then crossed the room to retrieve her keys from the place where she'd left them. But her keys were nowhere to be seen. She remembered having placed them near the edge of a desk next to the door, and now they were no longer there. Wondering if maybe they had fallen off the desk, the woman scanned the floor beneath, but the keys were not there either. She then wondered if she had made a mistake and left them somewhere else, even though she was quite certain that she had not. The intern then left the basement to retrace her steps throughout the building, searching every area high and low, but without any success. Finally, she returned to the basement, by now feeling frustrated and annoyed. These feelings turned to shock when she instantly spotted her keys placed near the edge of the desk by the door, exactly where she'd left them. They were positioned precisely where they had not been a short time before, when she was searching. It should be noted that the intern was later described by CKUA then Chief Executive Officer Ken Regan as being very intelligent and not easily scared. However, another incident occurred soon after that, when she was again working alone in the basement. She had again left her keys in the same place on the same desk, supposing that surely there was no reason anything strange would happen to them again. However, this supposition was proven wrong when, as she worked at the computer, the keys actually flew off the table and crashed to the floor with a clatter. She immediately spun around, but there was no one present, no one visible at any rate. She shouted out to the empty room, "Stop it!" and her angry outburst worked. She never again had an encounter with the resident ghost of Alberta Block. The spirit is believed to be a former employee of CKUA Radio who seems unable to move on. The Alberta Block building was headquarters for the broadcaster between 1955 and 2012, and since late last century, many believe a ghost named Sam haunted the building. Even after the station moved to new premises in 2012, it's believed that Sam's spirit remained attached to the location and refused to move on. Sam was a man who passed away in the 1970s. He was the building's caretaker, whom co-workers later described as polite, quiet, and perhaps eccentric. The pipe-smoking, opera-loving caretaker is said to have passed of a heart attack in a dark corner of the basement, his favourite napping spot. However, it's reported that months, years, and decades after the sad incident, people working late at CKUA or around the building would hear someone singing opera or smell cigar smoke in an area where there were no other people. Sam was described as a big man who was said to never laugh, although he enjoyed singing while he swept the floors and was known to have smoked a pipe or cigar at all hours of the day. His placid demeanour was said to have hidden a checkered past, wherein it was rumoured that Sam had had ties to a terrorist group and was even said to have once threatened the life of the Alberta Premier, Ernest Manning. Apparently convicted for this crime, Sam had been forced to undergo lobotomy, a surgical procedure that reduces connections in the brain's prefrontal cortex. The past events of his life may have explained why Sam's co-workers found him to be very quiet and even strange in his behaviour. Unnervingly, after Sam's passing in the 1970s, some staff still heard him singing opera from across empty rooms. As with the summer intern, many other employees have sensed unseen eyes observing them from the shadows, particularly when down in the basement. One night, a tape machine malfunctioned and a technician named Larry King had to remove it to the basement in order to repair it. The tape machine was large, heavy, and awkward to carry, and as he struggled down the staircase, Larry was suddenly overwhelmed with an odd but certain awareness that he was not alone. His skin felt prickly, and a shiver chilled his spine as he hesitated and glanced around. When he was persuaded that there was no one within sight, he continued, and once he had reached the base of the stairs, he turned around and started to nudge the crash bar with his hip so as to push the door open without using his hands. But as he started to do so, the door flew open all by itself, and Larry nearly fell to the floor. He was able to regain his balance, but if he had fallen, the tape machine would have landed on top and crushed him. In this instance, some credit could be given to the ethereal Sam for attempting to help. There have also been eerie sightings of Sam. In another strange incident, Bill Cool, who had been a long-time employee of the radio station, was working in the control room an hour after midnight. Bill was alone, but of course had that sinking sensation that he wasn't. Definitely sensing a presence, when he happened to glance at the control room window, he saw the reflection of a face that was not his own. Although the lighting was dim, Bill could clearly make out a pair of eyes and glistening white teeth with a cigar clenched between them. It appeared that someone was standing directly behind him, but when Bill quickly spun around, there was no one there. When he looked back at the glass again, the reflected apparition was gone. Another sighting was reported just before Christmas in 1997. CKUA Radio DJ Lark Clark was working alone in the Alberta Block building late one Saturday night. She heard footsteps advancing down the narrow hallway towards the broadcast booth and wondered who on earth it could be. Her back was turned to the hallway door, and in front of her was the microphone, broadcast control board, and a glass wall. She said she was mid-sentence on live radio when suddenly a silvery glow reflected off the glass wall, seeming to hover over her shoulder. With a shock, she observed in that silvery light a profile of a man's face and head moving along outside the window behind her. She later remembered the terror she felt as the face and footsteps faded away down the long, narrow hallway, as she even thought of calling out to the audience with a request to call 911. She then thought, who do they call? Ghostbusters. Ken Regan heard numerous stories during his years at CKUA about staff encounters with Sam and the ghost's notoriety for playing tricks on them, such as we've seen, taking keys, then returning them to the same spot a few hours later. Another annoying prank was turning on the taps in the bathroom just as people were walking out. Regan has said that people whom he greatly respected and trusted, and whom he knew would not invent these kinds of stories, have told him of their experiences with Sam. The ghost was widely perceived and notorious. Chris Martin, another former DJ at the station during the 90s, recalled that not long after he started, people started asking him, "Have you seen the ghost yet?" Sam's spirit appears to have stuck around well after CKUA ceased broadcasting from Alberta Block, where, according to employees, he roamed the halls over decades. The station even brought in the Alberta Paranormal Investigators Society in 2009 and staggeringly found that Sam may not even be the only spirit haunting the building. After spending the night in the basement, where they performed tests using electromagnetic meters and night vision cameras, a sound the team did record was what they believed to be the voices of two little girls singing. The strange words they sang were, "Go back, go all the way back." Sam's spirit seems to have eluded the investigators. After CKUA's move to new premises, Regan said that the station extended an open invitation to Sam's ghost to join them. But, as far as he knows, no incidents have ever been reported at the new building.